Siobhan Kennedy there in Kenosha. Well, joining me now from New York is Sam Nunberg. In 2016, he was a political advisor to Donald Trump during his presidential campaign. Thanks for coming on the program, Mr. Nunberg. If you were still advising President Trump today, would you advise him to go to Kenosha?
The most biased spot I have ever seen. That's what we call in the United States fake news. Your colleague should be absolutely ashamed of herself for that, for what she just reported and the way she talked about it. It was outrageous.
Okay, but we're not going to get into that now. She stands, I'm sure, by her word. But my question to you is, if you were advising the president today, would you advise him to go to Kenosha?
Yeah, I would advise him to go to Kenosha. I'm glad he is going to Kenosha because unlike what your colleague said, you know who wants him in Kenosha? Local law enforcement. They asked for him to show up. The union heads, they asked for him. He's been endorsed by them. You know, I think your colleague forgot to mention that Mr. Blake, who perhaps, you know, I'm not saying he should have been shot in the back 6 times. He was at a house that he was not supposed to be in. He had an arrest warrant out for him, and he violated the woman who he was not supposed to be near. He then did not, he restrained himself. He did not listen to the police officers. He went to his car to go get a knife. And the idea that Americans, overall America, thinks that the country should be looted because something like that happened is outrageous. And Joe Biden can't have his cake and eat it too. He's reaching out to those people. His speech in Pennsylvania was abhorrent yesterday. He had nothing critical to say of the radical anarchists of the Black Lives Matter movement. He had nothing critical to say of Antifa. And he just said that it was law enforcement's fault. He was highly critical of them. And he doesn't get to have his cake and eat it too. And that is why this election's turning close. Right. And I believe Donald Trump will be reelected.
So you're saying it was the president should not condemn the fact that this man was shot in the back 7 times?
No, that's not.
He was not a lethal threat to the police.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Well, what are you saying?
What I'm saying is that
he wasn't a lethal threat. He wasn't pointing a gun at the police.
He wasn't a lethal threat to the police. He attacked them. They tried to tase him. He went and attacked them again, and he was going to his car, and he said, and he screamed he had a gun or he had a knife. Why don't you learn the facts? I think that, you know, everyone wants to criticize the president. They want to make it out as if our country, you know, we support this kind of shooting and things like this. We do not. But I'll tell you one thing. I support law enforcement over somebody like Jacob Blake. I do. And I bet you those cops will be found not guilty if they are charged. I bet you. In fact, I'll guarantee.
Do you support law enforcement over someone like Jacob Blake because he's black? Is that what it is?
No, not at all. That's something you would think. No, not at all. I support law enforcement over any criminal. Any criminal. It has nothing to do with the color of their skin. You see, that's the other side. That's the left. They're obsessed with race. I don't look at race like that. They're absolutely obsessed with it. And that's once again why they can't have the cake and eat it too. Black Lives Matter is a radical organization. You know what its charter says? It's a communist organization. And it is putting out violence across this country. And a lot of the black civil leaders who I know that are on the left, they don't even like the movement itself. And the idea that, for instance, your colleague who puts in a spot earlier, you know, barely showing what they did, what the rioters and the looters did, but she wants to focus this kid who, by the way, was assaulted and defended himself. I mean, the whole thing is outrageous. It's outrageous.
Donald Trump is the president of all Americans, not just his supporters. He's the president of the United States. Don't you think that he should be showing the Blake family just a modicum of sympathy for what happened to Jacob Blake?
I think that he should say he's criticized the police officers, but I don't think Jacob Blake's family wants to see him. And if they don't, then that's their prerogative. I also think with a lawyer present, he cannot go there. He cannot visit them. He did say that he spoke to their priest, and he was a very nice man. The idea that he doesn't have sympathy for Jacob Blake or that he doesn't have sympathy for the man who was murdered, by the way, in the Minnesota incident, that man was murdered. And I hope those cops go to jail for a long time. He absolutely has criticized them, and he's trying to get a national ban on chokeholds by police officers. So the issue is not quite as black and white as the media wants to make it out to be. But overall, we don't believe that law enforcement is automatically guilty.
Okay. But even his own Republican supporters, many of them are saying this president should be uniting the country, even in the middle of a heated election campaign, as opposed to trying to divide it even further, because that's dangerous for America.
The country is divided. And the country was very divided under Barack Obama, too. You had race riots under Barack Obama. You had them in Baltimore.
You're making it worse.
You had them in Milwaukee. Well, you think he's making it worse, then that's your prerogative. I don't think he's making it worse. I think he's standing on the side of police and law and order. And Joe Biden is once again trying to have his cake and eat it too. He's trying to say, I don't want rioting, I don't want looting, but the cops are very, very bad. And I think that that's a message that is not clear. That is a message that will lead to more chaos. It should also be noted, and it's conveniently not reported by anyone, that in all these states where this looting's happening, guess who the governors are? They're Democrats.
Okay, Sam Nunberg, thank you very much indeed for coming on the program.